They always called me the responsible one. At first, I thought it meant they trusted me. I wore it like a badge, paid my bills on time, graduated early, saved for a down payment while my friends took trips to Miami. It felt good to be stable safe. My name's Hazel. I'm 26, living in Boise, Idaho. I bought a small house last year, a one-story fixer-upper with a creaky porch and a maple tree that refuses to bloom. I'm a software engineer. The job pays well. I like numbers. I like structure. I like knowing what's mine. I didn't grow up with much. My parents, Linda and Robert, worked hard. Linda as a school secretary, Robert doing maintenance for the city. They believed in family first, even when it meant someone had to give more than the others. That someone was usually me. Jessica, my younger sister, is 23, beautiful, charming, chaotic. She never finishes anything college jobs boyfriends, but she never really had to. Our parents made sure of that. When Jessica totaled her first car, Robert blamed the brakes and I co-signed the next loan. When she missed rent in college, Linda cried on the phone and I wired the money. Just this once, she said. But it never was. Not really. I told myself I was helping. That's what older sisters do. And I could afford it, or so I kept convincing myself. I had a credit score in the 800s, 2 cards I paid off each month, and a savings account labeled emergency that I never touched. Still, something in me had begun to tire. Not physically. Not even financially, just a weight I couldn't name. It was in the way Robert always said Hazel will know what to do. Or how Linda would start texts with hate to ask this but. Or how Jessica sent selfies from concerts I didn't know she could afford captioned living my best life. I never asked where the money came from. Maybe I didn't want to know. Or maybe I did know and didn't want to admit it. That Tuesday morning, I woke up to the same creak in the floorboards, the same mug of coffee, the same habit of checking my banking app while the toast cooled. I thought I knew what I'd find, but not this time. The app took a second longer than usual to load. Maybe the signal, maybe just my fingers trembling without me knowing yet. At first, it was familiar. A $649 charge from the streaming service I kept forgetting to cancel. Groceries from the weekend. A small donation to a friend's birthday fundraiser. All ordinary. Then I saw it. One line, then another and another. Flights, hotels, boutiques. I'd never heard of restaurants with names in French and Italian. The total, $75,138.27. I set my coffee down too fast and spilled some on my wrist. I didn't flinch. My eyes couldn't move from the screen. I refreshed the app as if that would undo it. It wasn't a single charge. It was a pattern. A whole itinerary and transaction form. Paris, Rome, Santorini, first-class flights, 5-star hotels, luxury transfers, spa packages. I sat down at the kitchen table and let the silence settle. I'd never spent anything close to that in my life. That number was more than my yearly take-home after taxes, more than the cost of my car, more than what I'd managed to save over years of careful, quiet planning. This had to be a mistake, a scam, a hack. I scanned for signs, wrong names, foreign currency, odd times of purchase. But it was all in my name, all through my card, all recent. I tapped open the detail on one charge, an airline ticket booked through a travel agency 2 weeks ago. Another one, a hotel in Paris, charged 4 days earlier. Then a spa package Santorini. That's when the memory came. Jessica leaning over my kitchen counter one night last month, laughing as she scrolled through Instagram reels. I just want to get away like eat gelato in Rome. Go full Lizzie McGuire in Europe. I'd half listened at the time. Now my stomach turned cold. It couldn't be. It shouldn't be. But something told me I needed to make a phone call. I didn't call the bank. Not yet. My finger hovered over the icon, but something instinct, fear, hope told me to make another call first. Robert picked up on the third ring. Hey, Hazel. He said like it was a Sunday check-in, like I hadn't just discovered my financial world turned upside down. Dad. I said, my voice tighter than I meant. Did you use my credit card recently? There was a pause. Not long, but long enough. Oh, that he said like I'd asked about a missing Tupperware lid. Yeah, Your mom and I booked Jessica's trip through your card. Her limit wasn't high enough. I blinked. You used my account, I asked without telling me. Well, we meant to, he said quickly. Things got hectic. You're always working. We didn't want to bother you. Didn't want to bother me. With $75,000. I stood up and walked to the window as if moving my body could help my mind catch up. You booked an entire European vacation, I said slowly on my card. For Jessica? He replied. You know how much she's wanted this. I didn't answer. A second later, I heard Linda's voice over the speaker. Honey, don't get upset. It's family. We help each other. She's having the time of her life. You wouldn't take that away from her, would you? My hand clenched into a fist. Not from rage, not yet more like disbelief at how calmly they were treating this. She's been posting pictures, Linda went on. She looks so happy. Did you see the Eiffel Tower view from her hotel? Gorgeous. And Robert upgraded her seat first class. A little surprise. I closed my eyes. A little surprise with my money. You didn't ask, I said. My voice had gone low. Cold. You charged $75,000 on my card without my permission. And you think that's okay? It's family, Robert repeated. You make good money, Hazel. You've always been good with finances. Jessica doesn't have what you have. She deserves this. You can handle it. There it was again. You can handle it like it was my job. Like it had always been my job. Not when I took on extra shifts to pay my student loans. Not when I skipped vacations to save for a down payment. Not when I said no quietly, politely, because saying yes would have meant giving up something I needed. And yet here they were, smiling through the phone, pretending they hadn't done something unforgivable. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I just hung up. The call ended, but the silence stayed sharp. I stood in the kitchen, my phone still in my hand, the line now dead but echoing with their voices. Then a soft ping Instagram notification. I didn't want to look, but my thumb moved on its own. Jessica Thompson posted a new photo. She was standing on a white terrace with blue domes behind her Santorini sunglasses pushed into her hair, a cocktail in hand, that breezy, effortless smile she always knew how to wear. The caption read, "Thanks, sis. Living my best life in paradise." I stared at the screen not just because of the photo, but because of the caption. Thanks, sis. She knew. Not just that the trip had been booked, not just that someone else had handled it. She knew it was me. My name, my card, my sacrifice, and she wasn't ashamed. She was flaunting it. I scrolled back to our last conversation 3 weeks ago. She'd stopped by barely 20 minutes, said she was planning something big. When I asked what she meant, she laughed, twirled a strand of hair, and said, "You'll see." Back then, I thought it was another dream. She had a lot of those starting a business, going to culinary school, doing a yoga retreat in Bali. Big talk, short follow-through. I hadn't asked questions. I thought maybe I hoped it would fizzle like the others. I remembered something else then. A month earlier, she'd asked if I could lend her some money. Just a bit to get the trip started, she'd said. Flights are nuts right now. I'd told her gently that I couldn't. Property taxes were due. The plumbing needed work. She'd shrugged. No worries, she'd said. I'll figure it out. She had with help from Linda, from Robert, and from me without my consent. I felt something shift then. The kind of shift you can't take back. Not sadness, not even rage. It was the moment the illusion breaks. The moment you realize the people closest to you don't just expect you to carry the weight they planned on it. I didn't trust my own thoughts anymore. I'd paced the house, circled the same kitchen twice, opened the fridge and closed it without taking anything. My phone was still in my hand when I finally dialed Ethan. He picked up on the first ring. "Hey," he said. Voice calm, steady, always steady. "Everything okay?" No, I answered before I could overthink it. Not even close. I told him everything. Every transaction, every word from Linda, from Robert, the Instagram post. The first-class seat, the Eiffel Tower, view the cocktail in Jessica's hand, like it cost nothing, because to her it had. Ethan didn't interrupt. He just listened like he always did. When I finished, I waited for sympathy, for shock, for that soft murmur of, "That's tough." Instead, I got the truth. "Hazel," he said slowly, "that's not just wrong, that's fraud." I blinked. I hadn't said the word yet. Not even in my head. "That's theft," he added. "Unauthorized charges, misuse of credit. And it's not some stranger halfway around the world. It's your parents, your sister. That doesn't make it better. It makes it worse." I sat down on the stairs. My legs weren't working right. "They think I'll cover it," I whispered. "Will you?" he asked. Not accusing, just clear. I thought of Jessica's face in that photo. Her smile, her comfort, her assumption that this was hers to enjoy. "No," I said. "Not this time." Ethan didn't say good. He didn't say finally. He just asked the question that mattered. "What do you want to do?" I looked out the window. The afternoon sun had shifted. My house was quiet. And for once, I let it be. "I want them to feel it," I said. "I want them to face what they did." He didn't pause. "Then freeze it?" he said. "Report the charges, let the bank investigate." I nodded even though he couldn't see me. "Mid-trip," I asked. "Especially mid-trip," he said. "Mid-trip." The phrase echoed in my mind like a warning and a dare. I pictured Jessica at some rooftop bar in Santorini, barefoot on tile floors, draped in linen, sipping something expensive. She'd reach for the card, smile at the server, wait for the approval beep. It wouldn't come. And maybe for once, she'd have to ask herself who'd really been paying. "I'll do it," I said. Ethan didn't respond with applause or encouragement. He just opened his laptop. "I'll walk you through it." We called the bank together. My voice was calm, too calm, maybe. As I explained the situation, I used words I never thought I'd say. My parents used my credit card without permission to fund a trip for my sister. I did not authorize the charges. Yes, I would like to report it as fraud. The woman on the line didn't hide her shock. She asked questions, verified my identity, took notes in clipped, precise tones, and then with one keystroke, it was done. The account was frozen. No more charges, no more withdrawals. Any card linked to that line of credit dead in the water. I thanked the agent and hung up. My hand shook as I set the phone down, not from fear, but from something harder to name. Relief, grief, something in between. Ethan looked at me from across the table. "You okay?" I nodded. It's weird. Saying it out loud made it real. "It was always real," he said gently. "You just stop making excuses for it." The next hour passed in stillness. The sun dipped lower in the sky. I didn't rush to check my phone. I didn't rehearse the conversations I knew were coming. For the first time in a long time, I let myself feel what I'd been carrying. All those years of stepping up, staying quiet, smoothing things over. All those times I told myself it's just easier this way. But easy wasn't peace. And silence wasn't love. That freeze, it wasn't punishment. It was permission to stop bleeding out for people who never noticed the wound. The first call came sooner than I expected. It was a video call. Jessica. Her hair was pulled into a bun, and behind her I could see tall windows and cream-colored curtains swaying in the breeze. The kind of hotel room I'd only seen in travel magazines. She looked not happy. "Hazel," she said sharply. "What did you do?" I didn't respond right away. "My card isn't working," she went on. "Mom and Dad said it's the one for the trip. I tried to pay for lunch and it declined. The hotel's saying I need to settle the bill before checkout." She sounded more annoyed than worried. "Your card?" I asked. She paused. "The one Mom and Dad gave me. The one for the flights, the bookings." I nodded slowly. "Right. That card, Hazel," she said, narrowing her eyes. "Did you do something?" I kept my voice even. "Why would I?" "Because Mom said you were upset about the charges." "Upset?" I echoed. "Jessica. They charged $75,000 to my card, my personal account, without asking." She rolled her eyes. "Oh my God, it's just money. You make good money." Don't be so dramatic. I almost laughed, not from humor, from clarity. It's not just money, I said. It's mine. I earned it. I saved it. And none of you asked. She looked away for a second like she was trying to compose herself. Well, what am I supposed to do? I'm in Greece. That I said is for you, Mom and Dad to figure out. I ended the call. Minutes later, my phone rang again. Linda this time. Hazel, she snapped. The sweetness was gone. What have you done? Jessica's stranded. She can't access anything. The hotel's demanding payment. I froze the account, I said calmly. You what? Robert's voice cut in. He was on speaker. How could you do this? Linda demanded. She's in another country with $75,000 of my money, I replied. It's family, she cried. You don't do this to family. I let the silence hold for just a breath. No, I said. You don't steal from family either. Robert's voice grew sharper. You ungrateful brat. After everything we've done for you. You committed fraud, I said. The bank is investigating. That shut them up. You wouldn't, Robert said, but his voice had lost its edge. Try me, I said. And then I hung up. The fallout didn't stay between us. By the next afternoon, the calls started coming from numbers I hadn't seen in months. My aunt, a cousin in Colorado, even Linda's church friend who somehow had my number and just wanted to understand. Apparently, my parents had begun doing damage control. They painted me as ungrateful, cold, overreacting. After all we did for her, I imagined them saying she cut Jessica off mid-trip, left her stranded like some kind of punishment. I didn't answer most of the calls, but when Aunt Margaret's name came up, I picked up. She sounded hesitant at first, then soft. Honey, is it true? She asked. They used your card. I didn't spin it. I didn't exaggerate. Yes, I said. $75,000 without asking. For Jessica's trip. Silence. Oh, Hazel, she whispered. That's terrible. It was the first time someone in my family didn't try to excuse it. Didn't call it a misunderstanding, didn't blame me for not letting it go. I hung up and sat with that for a while. Word spread and the numbers didn't lie. It's hard to justify 75 grand charged without permission, especially when your daughter works for everything and your other one never finishes anything. Some relatives took my side quietly. A cousin texted good for you. Others stayed neutral. A few doubled down, said I was selfish. That family means forgiving. But even those voices started to waver once the bank's fraud team began calling verifying dates, requesting documentation, asking who had authorized what and who had not. Linda and Robert couldn't lie their way out of this one. Not with investigators, not with financial records, not with Jessica unable to pay her own hotel bill. Their image, so carefully maintained, so performative, began to crack. Then it shattered. I stopped answering their calls. Not out of spite, not to make a point. I just didn't have anything left to say. For a few days, my phone lit up nonstop. Linda alternating between guilt and rage. Robert threatening legal action. Jessica sending vague messages that oscillated between, you ruined everything and I didn't know it was that big a deal. I read them all, then archived them. I didn't block anyone. I didn't yell. I just stepped back. I started moving my money to a new bank, changed the passwords to everything email cloud accounts I hadn't thought about in years. I updated my emergency contacts. Took Linda and Robert off. I had to. Every step felt like laying a new brick. A small wall going up not to shut the world out, but to keep myself in. Ethan helped me find a lawyer just to understand my rights. He said I was covered. That reporting the fraud was not only legal, it was necessary. That I had every right to protect what was mine. I didn't plan to sue. I didn't want to escalate. I just wanted it to stop. I knew I might never see that money again. But I'd stopped the bleeding. That alone felt like a win. The house was quiet that week, quieter than usual, but it wasn't the lonely kind. I cleaned the guest room, reorganized my pantry. I even bought a new kettle, the kind that whistles. Something about the sound made the silence feel intentional. Jessica eventually made it home. I didn't ask how. I heard through a cousin that she borrowed money, scrambled for cheaper flights, that she cried at the airport when the lounge wouldn't let her in without the card. I didn't feel joy hearing that. I just felt done. I didn't need an apology. I didn't need the money back. I needed the silence, the stillness, the absence of expectation. For so long, being the responsible one meant saying yes, fixing things, making it all work. But responsibility doesn't mean sacrificing yourself for people who never once asked if you were okay. It means drawing the line when no one else will. It means knowing when to stop, even if it's mid-trip. I didn't burn bridges. I didn't slam doors. I just stopped opening them. And for the first time in my life, it was quiet in all the right ways. My peace began where their entitlement ended. Hazel learned that being the responsible one doesn't mean sacrificing her own stability to enable others' recklessness. For years, she carried the weight of her family's expectations, quietly covering their financial shortcomings. When her parents and sister misused $75,000 of her money, she realized that true responsibility includes protecting herself. By freezing the account and reporting the fraud, Hazel drew a boundary, reclaiming her peace. She understood that love doesn't demand self-sacrifice, and that silence isn't loyalty. Her lesson was clear responsibility means knowing when to say no, even to family, to preserve her own worth.